What is going on, people? This is another live episode of Josh Said What, the podcast that will change the world. In this episode, we got another very special guest. But first off, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Against All Enemies. You see it right there. Against All Enemies is hands down the best gun shop in all of Mojave County. Best one in Lake Havasu City. He does it all. He's got it all for you. Patrick, he's the owner of it. Fantastic guy. He's an amateur MMA fighter and he kills it. But definitely shout out to him. Check out his Instagram, his Facebook, AAE America, AAEamerica.com. Check it out. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I got a gentleman coming on. Very special guest. I've been trying to get on for a while, and we finally got him. I got CJ Pitman. How you doing, man?
What's up? Oh, man, and we're going to jump right in here talking about AAE and Patrick Bowman. Man, what is this show about? Like, those guys are not just the best in Mojave County, but I can tell you I personally just ordered a rifle from them for a raffle that we're doing at the Thunderbird Farm Volunteer Fire Department. And Patrick got that order taken, got the rifle built, and it's already sitting at my shop in Maricopa. So not just the best in Mojave County, but he makes things happen all over the state of Arizona.
Hell yeah. Honestly,
AAE. What's up?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Honestly, I met Patrick just this year, and it was through setting up everything with you guys. And dude, he's a badass dude. He's a badass.
He is absolutely a badass dude. And I talk about him all the time, not just being, one, he's a fighter and he gets in this cage and he gets down and dirty. Patrick the Hammer Boffman, he is literally gets in and just hammers down on dudes. And he gets to do that. And he sees he's got his company logo on the mat, and it's just so much fun, and everything meshes together really well with our like culture and the way that we do things and do business. Patrick runs his business and his gym and the way he works out and the way he does his fight camps. He does it just the same as we do business here, and we love that. So we meshed right away and we connected right away. I've only known Patrick for a year now as well. He came up and he got in the cage and he fought, and the guy was like 50 pounds heavier than him. One sec. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm an animal. I just leave the doors open. It's like born in a barn or something, leaving the doors wide open around here.
How dare you? No, I'm kidding.
I hear myself telling myself, like, were you born in a barn or something? Things you do when you're a parent,
Exactly.
But no, yeah. AAE and Patrick, he fought and then immediately was like, hey, CJ, I want to get involved. You know what I mean? And it's like, absolutely. That's the kind of relationships that we're looking for, the long-term relationships, the things that mesh and mesh with MMA fans and gun people in Arizona. I mean, that's like how you can't get more of an ideal market, really. You know what I mean? Like, I guess if you're a jiu-jitsu guy, you might be not as much of a gun guy, but hey, most MMA guys are all about it, So, and of course, I love guns and I'm all about guns. So we just clicked right off the bat, and then he gets in the cage and starts, smashing on people and dropping the hammer, and it's like, hell yeah, I really, really like this guy. Like,
exactly.
We're gonna be friends for a long time, Pat.
Yeah, exactly. Like you could just tell by his build, like he was born to just brawl like that. And yeah, he's such a chill dude. Every time that I've worked with him, it's been just a pleasure to work with him. And same with you guys too, honestly.
Well, yeah, I mean, and you as well. Like, while we're at pleasantries, you're great to work with, sir. We appreciate you.
But
yeah, Pat's built like a brick shit house. You know what I mean? Like he's a military veteran. You can definitely see that on him, on his face, and he shines up nice and does the part, and we've had him on the news, and so he's a really good, well-rounded MMA fighter, which is exactly what we're looking at. And I mean, the more that entrepreneurship keeps growing and people continue to start new businesses and grow their businesses, things like that, the more we're going to see crossovers between fighters and partners and sponsors, and between being fighters to being personalities and things like that. We've involved quite the network of random people with different talents and things that make it what it is. And I see that only growing from within. So
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like a spider web effect, because as you make each connection with these guys, it branches off in so many different ways, and you just build this web of connections that's just perfect, I would say.
Well, and that, I mean, that comes from delivering value, like a
Mhm,
lot, like even you, you come to the table and you deliver value. And we do that same thing with when we're reaching out and building new relationships. It's actually doing what you say, which is
mhm,
huge in this world these days. It's like a long forgotten art, or something. It's like the mysteries of the universe. Do what you actually say you're going to do, and like
mhm,
that's good for business. And by doing good business and building good strong relationships and not burning bridges and working with people and building building something bigger than just RUF. I mean, like we're
mhm.
seeing tons of little businesses pop up that are supporting what RUF is. You know what I mean? But they were spinoffs or somehow got some kind of involvement and started off from there and grew, and it just kept getting bigger. And so that's really cool to see. Being in the sport and in the scene for a while, to see those little companies start to become big companies and start to do the same thing for other promotions and other companies is really, really cool. So um, yeah, that's the way to get a big strong army of people around you, is do good business and build good strong relationships, and
Mhm.
then they can't help but to want to jump on board and support what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. That's why my mindset as I take an approach in everything that I do with podcasts and everything, it's burning bridges doesn't bring any value. If it's like somebody that you probably shouldn't associate with, then yeah, I get that. But otherwise, all I care about is what connections can I make, the best value that I could build, as well as the relationships that I could build. Because, and I talked about it with Matt from Celebrity Theater, how, you can't necessarily just walk into a business or walk into a promotion and be like, hey, I want this, this, and that, and not have a relationship or not be able to have some sort of value that benefits the both of us. But like that's why with my approach, I was just like, what can I do? What can I do to help?
Yep, absolutely, and that's the way about it. There the burning bridges things comes from a long standing thing with the old school mentality of how this business was, and it's given promotions and legitimate organizations such a bad rap because of these old school guys that used to just burn and turn. They would hook you in with
Mhm,
flashy stuff. You felt like a big old bass. You're going, yeah, it's exciting, yeah, it's flashy, it's great, until the time came to like either get compensated for your value, or they would just move on to the next guy who would do it for free and whatnot. So like, and that goes all the way across from fighters to to personalities to commentators to
mhm,
all of that stuff. Like back in the day, like they didn't. It wasn't about building up the fighter and building up the fighter's audience and building their value and showing them how to operate this like a business. It was about how just get it and get them on, and like, and if once they were no longer of use to that promoter or whatnot, then there was this big fallout and it's a bad relationship, blah blah blah. Same thing
yeah,
with marketing partnerships and sponsors and all that stuff. Like we've had some of our sponsors we've had for as long as I've been with RUF, 7+ years. I mean, and it's not because we're just awesome people and they like to help out and pay money and do this stuff. It's because we provide value, and even when we haven't nailed it on the head, we've gone back and assessed it and found where we can make adjustments or do
mhm,
those types of things. It's not a disposable relationship. You don't just throw it away and start over and find somebody else and build it again. You adapt and you adjust and you make it work.
mhm.
It's not a yes or no, or go or no go. It's is this working or is this not working, and you go from there. You know what
Oh
I mean?
yeah.
And so it's a matter of like just doing business different than the old school ways. Like no, there's especially since COVID and whatnot, it's like the old book of how to do this game, it had gone completely out the window because none of it was the same. It's like the
Mhm,
marketing strategies are different. It's not just a bunch of people want to go out and see a fight anymore. Like you have to get personal with people. You have to gain attachment to the fighters. The fighters have to go out and be seen and show their faces and let their people know that things are going on and what's going on. And hey, here's what's going on during fight camp. And here's events that are happening around the fight. Here's ways that you can come out and be a part of it and all that stuff. Like
mhm.
it's a whole new thing. And so the old school mentality just doesn't fit, and it doesn't work with the future of the sport and the business, so, and
Yeah.
this is,
And I
if you look
feel
farther into the future, all of these little relationships that are building in 10
Mhm.
years, what is Josh Said What going to be? You know what I mean? And we'll look back on this and be like, hey, remember we were in our basements and like shooting podcasts and talking about this and that. And like, we're going to look back at it as Joe Rogan does now to a decade or 15 years ago. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
it's building something bigger than any one person.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Absolutely. That's why, like, if any general advice that I would give to people, especially like kids growing up and they want to go down this avenue that we're taking, or really any field at all, you you just got to be that guy. You got to be able to have that communication skills, build those relationships, especially because I feel like too, it's considering you got COVID that happened, and then like all the other BS that goes on in this world. I feel like now is a especially more emphatic time where like you really got to build those quality relationships, because it's the quality relationships and the connections you build that translates to every facet of the field that you're working, of the event. Where now, like, what I really like with RUF Nation is the interactions that we bring to the fans, to bring the emphasis, getting them more interactive, and then also adding the emphasis on the fighters, bringing value to them, and then they bring value to you guys. And it's for
Well,
like
and
any
this is
like
something you do really well. I want to just run over you real quick on this one. Like, you are one of the most authentically you people I know, and that's why I love you so much, because you don't care what people think. You're not letting what somebody else's thoughts stop you from getting on here and creating this podcast and reaching out and interviewing people. Where so many of us these days will let our own minds get in our ways of doing something great, because we're afraid of what somebody else is going to think about it, or what somebody else's opinions about what you want to do. Like, if this is something you want to do, and like you put yourself out there and you are absolutely 100% authentically you know what I mean? And I applaud you for that, because there's so many people just trying to be somebody or something else that they're not. And in this day and age, I think what I connect with more as a consumer and as a viewer and things like that is the reality of it, the authenticity of people. And you know what I mean? Like, it's the rough life. Like, none of this shit has ever been easy, and we haven't hidden that or tried to like
mm-hmm,
make it a thing at all. Like, this is not an easy thing to do. And again, it's the people that keep this machine running, the people that come and see the shows, the people that train their asses off and get in the cage and fight, the people that train the people that are training and getting in the cage, the coaches, the gyms, the families, the moms and the young kids, and everybody's sacrifices for this beast to happen. You know what I mean? And
mm-hmm.
I think that's what people enjoy seeing about RUF and the RUF shows, is coming and actually seeing people, like that. Like, you don't see anything different on the internet of any of us from RUF that you wouldn't see or hear from us sitting face to face. And
Mm-hmm.
you've shown up to events where we've sit and had lunch. I ate chicken wings in front of you while you were trying to cut. You know what I mean? It's like, we're just a bunch of dudes, and we're just trying to
Yeah.
put this amazing thing together and have a lot of fun while we're doing it. And it's such a wild ride, and it's so much fun. And again, just people like, and that again, I applaud you for your ability to just be authentically you and give people you, because like, I think the era of the fake and the flashy and all the bullshit that you see on the Insta is fading. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't connect with the Insta whatevers that have multiple millions of followers but only posted 3 things, and you don't know what their dog's name is. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
or let's go the other extreme, the ones where you just know their dog, and their dog has a lifestyle and a persona and an Instagram page. Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
uh, I think that's superficial, and I think the connection and the people and the, again, I go back to the farm team, the farm team mentality. Like, this isn't something that we are just experts at, and yeah, there's been a blueprint put out there, but at a level so far away from the AAA, the farm team era, that it's a standard set that only a fool would go after, essentially. Like, I don't want to be the UFC. I don't want to be Bellator. I don't want to be PFL. I want to be the dude that gives the most people the opportunity to fulfill their dreams within those bigger organizations, so to speak.
Yeah.
And to get to see these people and know these people, from the fans, the fighters, the coaches, the wives, the moms, the grandmas, get to meet the families of everybody that comes out and plays a part in what we do is amazing. And we create amazing relationships. And I get Christmas cards from some of these folks, and I love it. It makes my life that much better. And it's not because we went out and made a bunch of money. It's because we're all creating this giant beast of a thing that in the future is going to be something super amazing, and we're all doing our part in it, and we're all putting in our effort and our sleepless nights and our hard work, and we're all enjoying the process, and we're all enjoying the imperfection of it,
Just the grind of it, and the natural impurities that makes it so worthwhile, that you're wanting to give it your absolute all, and every time you want to keep improving each time, like hands down. And thank you, by the way. I appreciate that about the authenticity comment, because that's what I've really placed the emphasis on my approach to this podcast. Because we live in an era where it's just fake this, fake that, fake news, fake everything, and people are like completely two-sided. They're one person on camera, another person off screen. And with me personally, the thing that I focus on, like one of the things I focus on the most, is don't forget where I came from. And I come from humble beginnings, and I want to provide that value to people that also came from where I came from, that there is hope, that you can build your life. You can take charge of not only your environment, but your own capabilities. And that's why I always push myself. And that's why, too, I'm so happy that I got to meet you guys, now get to work with RUF, because I don't want to live life with regret. Absolutely not. Fuck that. I don't want to be in my 50s, 60s, regretting and just pissed off every day because I didn't do this. I didn't do that. I didn't take any risks. Even if I live a short life, I'd rather live it as an epic and to the fullest. And regardless how scared I am every day, I still want to pursue it 100%.
Absolutely. And I mean, I've got many mentors and coaches and stuff that I look to for that kind of stuff. And that's exactly what they say. Like, doesn't matter how much money you make, or how much fancy shit you got. Like, when it comes down to your deathbed, you're going to have the regrets. You can't buy that time back. You can't buy those memories back. You can't buy those experiences back from that moment. You know what I mean? Like, you can have all the money in the world, and you're still going to be right there and facing that same decision of how did you live your life, and did you get the most out of it? And I think that's, we all want to strive for more and strive to build bigger things and whatnot. But one of the hardest things is to remember to just slow down and enjoy the present and enjoy the process. Like 9 out of 10 times, I'm not even excited when I get where I'm going. I wanted to just go there. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to take that journey, whether it's a car ride or going on a trip or any of that kind of stuff. It's almost like I'm almost sad when I get there. Same with the RUF shows. I mean, we have this 5, 6, 8 week journey that happens every time before every single show. And it comes down to showtime, and I'm like sad that it's another 5 to 8 weeks before we get to do this again. And it's like, but on Monday, like after the adrenaline dump, like we're right back to it, and there's no skipping a beat, and we're right back on that path. We're not at the destination is only 3 hours every month or every 6 weeks, and like we only get to the destination of what we're doing with RUF 5 times, 7 times a year. It's the other 12 months out of the year where we're constantly building relationships and communicating with people and brainstorming with brilliant people in all different fields, whether it's on the production, the video side, or the talent side, or the coaching side, or marketing, venue stuff, like promotion, getting out into the community and doing that kind of things, the nightlife side of it, all of the different things, like all of that stuff that happens between now and showtime, which is 60 days from today, just in case I haven't plugged that in. 60 days from today, RUF 52.
Hell yeah.
For the next 60 days, our goal is to go out and build these connections and start these relationships. And Jason and I are going to be going out, and Adrian's here in Arizona. Well, he'll be back. He's a little stranded due to weather travels and winter Christmas stuff. But
Yeah.
he'll be back in Arizona. He's spending, he's here 4 or 5 days a week. So now we've got the whole RUF team central here in Phoenix, and we never had our shit together long enough or early enough to be able to designate. It's always something we've wanted to do. It's always something we said, we need to do this. We need to do this more. We need to be out there. We need to be connecting with our people. This is RUF Nation. RUF MMA is a thing. RUF Nation is the people. Like how do you get connected to more people? You go out and you go into the gyms. You go out to, these sneaker places and these businesses run by people in the industry, and it's like there's so much community that surrounds the show and surrounds the sport in itself. Like getting out and getting involved with the community and getting them to know who we are as people, because we are way cooler as people than we are as RUF MMA. I can tell you that. Like, I'll tell you that right now. We are way cooler as people, the people that are involved in this crazy nut thing we do, than we are as a brand or as a show. You know what I mean? Like that's just the party to kick off all the hard work and see if what we're doing is working and going in the right direction. You know what I mean? Like, and putting on a stage for these guys that, this is their dream for a lot of these dudes to get to this level and to be able to fight in an arena like the Celebrity Theater under the big lights and all of that stuff, where you've got, a crowd full of people screaming your name and you're getting to live out a dream. Like so many people's dreams are involved in this at so many different stages. It's not always just that like pinnacle that everybody tries to achieve, that the enjoyment and the gratitude comes from all of it. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. And it's crazy how you explain that, because when I think about things for myself, it's the person who got me interested in podcasting was Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is also a massive MMA guy. He helped UFC burst into the mainstream and everything. And I feel like I don't strive to be like him, but I strive to do things like get to his level and what he can achieve. And like the approach that now I have with you guys, it's obviously I'm not a commentator like him, but the role that I play and the value that I bring, it feels so ironic how I fell into the same path and getting to meet all you guys. And what I really like about RUF, as I've said before, is just the emphasis on providing value to the audience, to the fighters, to you guys as well, and be able to talk to you guys behind the scenes, just learn more about you guys. And that's why, like, I especially want to move to Phoenix. Like I've been trying like to get out there ASAP so I could be more part of this web and see what I could really bring value to when I'm fully out there.
I get it, man. When I first got involved with RUF, I lived out in Maricopa, and it's felt like Havasu. It's like you got it once you get into and you surround yourself with community and you surround yourself with people that are doing the things that you want to do and that you want to be involved in, and you plug yourself into that. Like the possibilities are exponential at that point. Like my wife literally said, like, I'm moving back to civilization with or without you. And we bought the house here in South Phoenix, Ahwatukee, and moved here, and then everything started getting plugged in. I could go and have meetings and do these things, whereas in Maricopa it was like planning a whole day event, even though it's only 15 minutes from here, but it's that much farther away that if nobody's coming out to meet you out there and you're planning a whole evening to come out to Phoenix and get back. So it's like I totally get that. So things do move faster when you put yourself in the proximity,
Yeah. Exactly. And then something I've been wanting to bring up to you for a while that I specifically saved for when I finally get this interview. When we had you on throwing hands with me, you, and James, I remember that I had said in that interview that what I really liked about you guys was that you wanted to be that seeing almost like a stepping stone for these fighters to hit these higher levels. When I look back at that, I feel like, no, I want to take that back, because the more I get to know you guys, I get to know not only your goals, but your aspirations and everything. I feel like by saying stepping stone, it's selling RUF Nation short. And I feel like you guys have much bigger ambitions than simply being that. And you guys really want to push for more. And so I wanted to pick your brain. Like, what's your true ambitions?
Well, and I remember this conversation very, very vividly. I haven't gone back and watched the Throwing Hands podcast or whatnot, but I explain this all the time. Like, I used to be very distraught at the word like stepping stone, or the thought of being a stepping stone for somebody else. When you get into a mindset and a thought of service, like it completely changed. It won the way I viewed the sport completely changed. Because again, there was a time that Joel, he was Mr. Big Showtime promoter, and he was the big shot. He drove a Viper, and had the gold chains and did all that, and he was that OG promoter. And as he's gotten older and wiser, more gray hairs and a little older and wiser, he's mellowed out a lot on that. And where when I first got involved and started getting some of the responsibility that I have now, when he would test me, and he would allow me to do these things and see if I got all big headed and excited and run off and want to do all this shit. Well, yeah, you always have that that ego and stuff that you have to combat in all things in life. And for a lot of people, this sport and this position is all about ego. And for me, it took me a while to get over the thought of, or my ego get over the thought of being a stepping stone, having anybody step on me to get to where they wanted to be. And then, through tons of, again, like I said, I pay for coaching. I have mentors. I have all of these things. My wife, she's a amazing influence when it comes to the mindset and wellness and those kind of things. And that's something that she talks about and exhibits often, is a heart of service. And when you start looking at things from a service position, or and then you start to be able to, it starts to become about other people's experiences and other people's memories that you're creating. And I see this more and more now, being so involved at celebrity theater and being involved in so many different shows and projects and stuff. There is I love to provide the experience for people. I love to help people create memories, even if it's just being helpful during an event, or making sure that they're enjoying, or they're getting served, and that they're enjoying and creating a memory that they're gonna have for a lifetime. And
Right.
Being at a historic venue like that, where you've got people that have come to amazing shows in that room for 40 years, and they can recall all of these shows and all these memories that they had and how it was so amazing. And to come back and get to do that again, and have those people share what that was, you quickly learn that I love putting on the experience and being a part of facilitating that experience for the masses. That is so much more rewarding than just letting it be about an ego and being about me and getting in the ring and making all that, and putting all that. You'll see me at a RUF show. I'm not over there partying. I'm running around and I'm facilitating things and making sure that everything's running smoothly, so that what's seen on the outside to the fan and the family member and the teams that are there supporting people, they don't see any of the chaos. They don't see any of the shit that happens behind the scenes. What they see is an amazing experience, and that's what they get to remember and to carry on. And that's what also gets spoken about RUF MMA when people leave that building. It's the hardest thing is getting them in the door the first time. The experience is so much fun and so much exhilaration and energy and excitement. And I mean, you see it all and you get to be a part of it all. And it's something that sticks with you. So when you leave there and you've had that experience for the first time, you're going to talk about that and you're going to tell people about that. I'd much rather people leave our building, our giant concrete castle, and tell people about the amazing experience that they had, versus one amazing dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's something that old school promoters haven't caught on to. That's why we want to incorporate so many different experiences and things in, like we've been doing, is to introduce new fans, introduce people to what it's all about. And so they get to experience that. And then they go and they bring more people and they come again and they get to experience it for many years to come. It's building something bigger.
Yeah. And that's why I genuinely feel that there's a lot more there's definitely a lot of potential and momentum that's really going for RUF, because it's the fact that you're not trying to fall in those old school bad habits and trying to let the ego get the best of you. That's why, RUF Nation became the #1 promotion in the state of Arizona, because the approach that you're taking, exactly the approach that you're taking, and the emphasis on not the people running the show, but the people that bring the show to begin with, the ones that get us started, the fans that there wouldn't be an event if the fans weren't there. All those people, the amount of attention and focus and emphasis and heart that you guys put in for that aspect, it makes me feel like that's why I want to work with you guys, because I see the
And the
potential.
fighters, man, the fighters, the more fighters
Yeah.
we give that opportunity to, the more new, people going from amateur to professional and getting into the sport at that level, the more we can create of them, the more opportunity there is. Then there is that next level to get to the big money and to get to the big fame and to get to the world notoriety and that stuff. Like, we want to be the ones to help put them in that spot. We want the legacy to be that if you go and fight for RUF MMA, you're going to get the eyeballs that you need to see you, to be able to go out. You're going to get that highlight reel. You're going to get that cage experience. You're going to get the stuff that you used to not be able to get frequently. Like, some people would fight once a year. And we've got people fighting 3-4 times a year and, progressing their careers and getting that experience, getting those highlight reels, getting all of that. And then, we're going to proudly cheer these people on when we see them move on to that next stage. I mean, most recently, you can think back to Waldo Acosta-Cortez. Like, that dude came in as a ringer for the Road to One tournament and, ended up leaving the tournament early because he got that opportunity sooner than he would have been able to had he completed and won the tournament. He came in, he got a few really impressive fights in the cage. Some killer matchups. Jason the matchmaker, he just outdoes himself with these every single time. And that heavyweight tournament was a nightmare of matchmaking, but it kept these big guys busy when people weren't doing MMA shows. So then Waldo gets a chance to go and fight for LFA, and then goes out there and kicks ass. Then immediately from there, they're like, hey, you can get on the Contender Series. And then boom, he goes there. And now he's had 2 wins in the UFC since then, and he is on a roll. And you know what he had to say? I'm going to take the holidays off because I just, beat 2 of the world's top heavyweights in a month. I'm going to take a couple days off, guys. I'll come back in January or something. Like, that kid is living his dream. He's from a third world country. He speaks English better than you think, but he doesn't speak fluent English. And I mean, I love the guy. He's a character. He's amazing. He came out of, again, I'd never even seen him on the ground or do any MMA whatsoever. I'd seen him boxing here in Arizona, and he came out, and now he's going to be the future superstar heavyweight world champion of the UFC. You can quote me on that. Because he's got it. You know what I mean? Like, and it makes me proud as fuck to say that he came and did that here and got those eyeballs that gave him the opportunity. And I mean, again, not just us. It wasn't just he's got an amazing team around him. His gym is amazing. His management's awesome. They're a big family over there too. And so it's just a huge sense of pride and overwhelming amount of pride to see them, all of them, get to that opportunity and get to go to that next level. And I'll always be there to cheer them on.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I want to be able to say that about as many fighters as possible for the next 30 years, to be able to give them that opportunity to go out there and get to that next level. I mean, you see it now, even with Joel, like he'll run into Kelvin or, Henry, these guys. And like, Joel's been a huge part in Arizona MMA and giving these guys that opportunity, and they will forever remember him and have a place in their hearts for him for that. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. I admire that. And that's amazing. Now we're going to do that on an exponential scale. Do that, 100 times over every single year, giving these guys the best opportunity possible. And it's hard because there's competition out there. There's a lot of people they could go fight for. There's a lot of organizations. And, sometimes they'll get the matchups and sometimes we'll get the matchups. So it's one of those things that, until you experience it and if you allow yourself to be open to it as a fighter, as a fan, as all that, we welcome you into our world, man. It is rough, but it is a hell of a time, and we love what we do.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And a number one compliment I get too from a lot of these fighters, especially the ones that are just starting out, is that, with now that we're doing like the pre-fight interviews, we're now trying to work in post-fight, and with everybody that we got to do this time around back at RUF 51, I've had so many fighters tell me like, thank you for having me on, because for them, their mindset is that this gives them media experience as well, because coming up as a fighter now, you got to be able to have a social media presence. You got to be good in front of media, and you got to be able to fight and throw hands in the cage. And for like Jason, he does a phenomenal job with the matchmaking, and these fighters that he brings on, absolutely incredible. And we're able to give them a full, wholesome experience that not only in a way helps prepare them for those next steps, but also gives them that attention for the opportunities to come in for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, that's the thing, is like, it doesn't matter whether they're a debut amateur or they're a seasoned pro veteran. You know what I mean? Like, we're trying to give them all that same experience and that same promotion and that same juice. And for the longest time, we didn't have the ability, we didn't have the staff, we didn't have the systems in place. We didn't have a lot of things to be able to get to this point. And this is something that I see is going to be a huge part of 2023. And what we're doing is now that we do have all these teams and these people in place to do this stuff. And I mean, Jason's going to wrap up this February 25th card in the next like 10 days. And then we're signing the March card, and then we're signing the April card. And by the time the February 25th show comes around, you know who's going to be in attendance to help get some eyeballs on them is the people that are fighting on the card in March. They're going to come to the show, and we're going to put some more juice behind them there, and taking it, because fights for the longest time were always like signed in the last minute, I'm going to take this last minute fight. Like, well, ultimately, like, if you're going to be a professional fighter, you should stay ready and be ready to fight all the time. If you're healthy, you should be ready. And to take a fight on no notice is great, and you'll always get moved up the chain by doing that. But we also want to be able to have a fight 6 weeks out and be able to promote you for that 6 weeks. Be able to build the content around you, be able to get people to see who you are and decide whether or not they're going to root for you or the guy that's going to punch you in your face. You know what I mean? Like, when you got 6 weeks to build that kind of content before every show, like the whole vision, the whole what's perceived at fight night is completely different, because now you've got people that are seeing what you're doing. As if you're a fighter, they're seeing what you're doing, and they're getting they have a similar story as you, or they came from a similar background, or you guys went to the same high school or whatever. They have some reason to cheer for you, and to want to root you on. And that's just human nature. Like, we find association to people, and we want to back them, and we want to cheer them on. Like that, it happens. You always have the underdog, and you always have, like, being able to put that spotlight on the fighters much farther prior to, and then leading up to, and then using each event to give them that kind of live experience of, coming backstage and being interviewed a month prior to your show. And, hey, this is what it's like. What are you thinking? We're only 30 days away from the next one. Then you're going to be back here, and this is what you're going to be doing, and talk to us about that and share that experience. Because as normal as that is to me, like, being back there and seeing all of that and all, but to the normal everyday human being, to the new people we're trying to bring in as fans and to get them interested, like, this is all the stuff they want to see. They want to they want to know what it's like. They want to know. And again, it's like, you guys share your wins and all of that shit, but like, people will fucking root you on when they see the rough, when they see the trials and the tribulations and all of that. Like, sharing that stuff and doing that on your public social media, and making your social media public is huge for you fighters. If you don't do that already, go back into your settings and change the settings to public, because the whole goal is to get people to see you.
Yep.
Just going to put in those little, tips as we go. But those kind of things that, like, when you have 6 to 8 weeks, then you've got 150 people in there chanting your name when you come out to the cage. Then you've got 600, My favorite event of 2022, my favorite instance. I mean, the crowd, the entire crowd's like, ole, 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 cheering on
Which one was your favorite event
Paul
again? It
Prime
cut out.
Margitas. It was the most energy we've ever felt at a RUF event up until that point, and it was Paul Prime Margitas versus Deshaun White. And Paul and his brother Dre and all of their crew, they came so deep that when he came out, like people were
I
chanting,
remember that. Okay, yeah.
ole, ole,
I
ole.
remember that.
And it was the most amazing feeling. And I know that gave him extra juice and that gave him extra energy and to be able to go in there and perform the way he wanted to and eventually come out with the win like he did. I can tell you right now, I've been to fights where I've been the only person cheering for that person in the room, and they got their asses kicked. Like there's something about energy and having your people around you and having people just chanting your name and cheering you on as you're going out there to do something that is scary as shit.
Yep.
Yeah, most of us, that's why we don't fight. We would turn and run in that instance. It's scary as shit. Even if you do
It
this
is.
for a living and do this as your entire life, like that moment, and to have your people behind you just cheering you on and chanting your name, and that's the goal. We want to have that for all the fighters. We don't want it to just be one fighter. We want all the fighters to have that kind of love and support in that room when we do these shows. So having that 6 weeks leading up to it, and being able to engage more and even incorporate technology like these kind of things like podcasts and Zoom meetings and stuff like that, where we can use that content and get their stories and help put that out. Like our whole job is to promote them. You know what I mean? Like it's really hard to promote them when it comes down to like fight week and you've got all the ships burning and all this shit going on, and it's like, so it's putting systems in place and looking at things in a much longer scale, like looking at things a year. Like we're already planning February 24 right now. We're in April of 24 right now. So I mean, like we're in,
and to be able to build off the momentum from every single event, especially when you have it going each month, going side by side, you get the fans interested in that first one. Okay, I want to come again and again and again, and have that big old crowd and having them chant with each fighter that comes out. Like I think that was RUF 48 that I had Paul Margitas versus Deshaun White, and I remember like the whole theater was shaking because of how crazy the crowd was.
Yeah. Absolutely. An insane energy. And I remember sitting there and I looked over at David, our ring announcer, who's also the GM of the Celebrity Theater. I looked over at him and I said, ole, ole. Just to hear it, just to feel it, you know what I mean? Like, and because again, I don't get to stop and experience the show a whole lot myself when I'm there and doing it. I'm running around and doing all kinds of things and making sure shit's going on. But that was a moment that I was able to just like sit and enjoy and be present in what we had created, and the excitement that I had for Paul Margitas and his awesome brother Dre. Like to hear that for them wasn't even about me. I was ecstatic and I was just overwhelmed with gratitude for them. I was excited for them, for Paul to get that feeling. That was his first ever MMA fight. The kid's been training at the lab for like a decade, and that was his first fight. And that's how I want every fighter that comes into the RUF cage to feel and to have that experience. You know what I mean? Man, I got a little emotional there. I love it.
Oh, no. Yeah, hey, I'm all there with you, man. Like me personally, I'm 26, but I don't see myself ever retiring from working in the MMA industry or even combat sports in general because of all of this. It's like I absolutely hate being on my phone during the weigh-ins, during the whole fight event. I hate it. I don't want to sit there behind a camera recording everything, post it to social media. I want to live there, sit in the moment, and really appreciate it. Like there, you're saying right there, you're listening to it, you're having that moment. That's something that's going to stick with you for life. That's not something that you'll feel the same way holding up a phone to record it, because it doesn't have that same resonation with you. And that's why I love saying it time and time again. I have so much focus now on the fighters that are coming up through RUF and everywhere else, because my mindset is that this is the next generation of fighters. we're already in the current generation with all these people that's in the UFC, won championship, Bellator, and everything. And a lot of the legends are going out the door right now. So we have a new generation that's got to step up and to build these stories with all these guys that, like, hands down, Devin Ray from here in Havasu, I could see him going very far, even challenging for a belt with RUF Nation. I could see that, and I
It's in the
can't
near future.
wait.
Yeah,
I'll
no,
say again.
absolutely. And all these guys that come again, this farm team mentality of like finding people that normally wouldn't be in the position to get the kind of exposure that by all means have the talent and deserve to get that kind of exposure. But if it's like Shaquille O'Neal, you know what I mean? Like Shaq was out on the farm lifting tractors and shit before he got taken to the NBA, you know what I mean? Like, but somebody went out and found that dude. Or Manute Bol, you know, I think the guy that went to Africa and like found this dude that was 7'11" and fucking dunked, you know, without even leaving the ground. Like those kind of stories throughout history and sports, like that's nothing new. And now we have social media, which connects everything, gives you, you know, an ability to see beyond the city walls, so to speak. But I mean, again, having to travel to fight, like they were all great high school wrestlers, but for a lot of people, if they don't end up going to college, or even if they do go to college, then college ends up being the end of the road. Like, what's next if you're a lifelong competitor and you're a lifelong athlete and you just get done with college and you've had a great, you know, wrestling career? Now, what do? You just call it quits and you hang up your wrestling shoes? No, you get in the cage, you go MMA. And I think that has a lot of where like the future is going to come from. And you say generations, like we're looking at building relationships with, you know, wrestling teams and the state wrestling and that, all of that stuff, and getting the sports to merge more throughout a youth and like club type of system. So like we're going to be looking to these athletes that and have them start looking to MMA sooner in their careers, instead of a, hey, I'm done with everything, what do I do now type of thing. Like, hey, like I'm going to go to high school, I'm going to let her in, I'm going to wrestle, and I'm going to do varsity wrestling, and I'm going to kick ass, I'm going to go win state, and then I'm going to go to college and I'm going to go be All-American, and I'm going to go do that, and then I'm going to win national championship, and then I'm going to go to RUF MMA and I'm going to get a RUF championship, right? Like,
Exactly.
I love seeing, like, there's kids that have grown up in RUF, you know, like Jab and Brandon and Zane. Zane's out here smashing dudes in high school. Like, I mean, yeah, he grew up with badass friends and badass family around all the time that fought and ran, you know, had fights and did all these things. But the kid is a savage, you know, and like to see what he's doing in the sport now is this, like, it's exhilarating. And I mean, Jason, his daughter, is stomping people. Like, she is wrestling and just like laying the smack down. And like the children and the youth that have seen and been a part of what we're doing are like going on, and like they're going to end up one day even coming and getting in the cage. You know what I mean? Like it's insane to think. And as parents, we're like, no, but like this is the effect that it's going to have on a mass level. You know what I mean? I think we're in 2023, we're going to be going out and getting involved with some of the wrestling teams. I mean, Joel has a deep wrestling background and roots here in Arizona with being, you know, a 2-time state champion and collegiate wrestler here at ASU. Like, we're going to tap into his passion for wrestling and his, you know, ability to go out and tap into these relationships that he's had in wrestling for 40 years and get the wrestling community to rally behind RUF. You know, ASU has as an MMA team now. They got an Instagram.
Do they
ASU
really?
MMA. I don't know whether it's like a club type of thing or what, but hey, like I really like that concept. Like, that could be something that could go on at other campuses all across the country where, hey, now even at a collegiate level, you're able to get MMA experience and learn these things and go to these different places. And then who knows, maybe one day get in the cage.
You gave me an excellent idea where you do like a vlog series where you go to these colleges, these high schools, and kind of like you I'm trying to figure out, because I don't want to seem like it's a ripoff of how like Dana White, he goes and he finds fighters from all over the place. But that'd be a really cool concept for RUF, where you're going to the local scene in Arizona and you're finding the raw talent that we have in these wrestlers that's in the colleges here in Arizona on the high school level. I think that'd be pretty clever.
Well, and I think that surrounds the, because you and I talked many times about getting a RUF show like out in somewhere like Havasu, you know what I mean? Or like doing the ones like we do in Flagstaff at Twin Arrows and those things. Like the concept behind having celebrity theater be our like home base, and then having these satellite markets to go out and do, whether we do it in a tournament fashion or we do it just in a recruitment type of mentality, but the road to RUF, like going out and then as part of the community outreach part of it and raising awareness for those events in those areas is going out and talking to the local wrestling clubs, going out and hitting all, stopping in at all the local gyms, the jiu-jitsu gyms and the Muay Thai gyms and the kickboxing gyms. And I mean, just through what we do on the matchmaking side, we're making relationships with people in all of these different markets and all of these places that, they may even do shows like that. Robert Gonzalez, he's up north, and he's a Muay Thai guy, and him and Jason connected, and now we're talking about ways to incorporate more of the Muay Thai that we haven't done in a few years into shows for 2023, and then getting some of the Muay Thai fighters that want to cross over, and him knowing and being a member of that community and having those connections. Like again, you talk about the Rays, Devin Ray and Big Papa Ray and Tori Ray. I love those guys, and they're they have deep roots in the community, and they can rally the troops and all of that stuff. It's creating a giant army and a network of those kind of folks that like see the value in what we're doing and that love what we're doing, support what we're doing, and hopefully bringing the show out to those markets once, if not twice a year, to then again give people at every level an opportunity to get involved, and then taking the ones that are successful and that are doing it right and that are pushing and bringing them to Phoenix and putting them on the big show, you know what I mean? Like bringing them up and giving them that even bigger opportunity to do it on the big stage with the bright lights and all of that stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
see, this is why it's the #1 MMA promotion of Arizona. It's that right there. That right there. It's Yari 20 steps ahead, and it's the passion, it's the drive, and it's the emphasis on every aspect of that.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, when you have the kind of people around you and the kind of support that we have, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to not be passionate about it, because, I mean, people get amped up about this stuff. This is stuff I talk to people about MMA every single day, everywhere I go. Like, hey, and it's not even about, like, I ran into a guy, hey, I seen you at the MMA lab one now. Yeah, dude, I've been in there like 3 times this year, get, fighters videos and contracts signed and that kind of stuff. But the fact that he recognized me from there and not from RUF MMA was one of those things. It's like, see, it's a matter of like putting yourself out in the community and making those connections. It just reinforcement that like what we're doing is right. The people that are getting behind it and giving us commitments and things, like it's no longer, even with our marketing partners and stuff, it's not like this event. It's all right, we got 2023, like let's go. And every single one of our partners from last year came on, and we've had that same conversation, and they're like, you know what? We support what you guys are doing, and we are excited to be a part of it. Let's just make it a year relationship. So now, again, all of these things are coming. People are seeing what we're doing. The support is coming in there. It's getting long-term. So we're not having to recreate this stuff every event. Once you have that kind of thing in place and that kind of support structure, then being able to implement that promotion and that individual attention for every fighter and all that stuff becomes more accessible and easily accomplished. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because then you have an established system.
Right. And we have the established support that we know, okay, like this is where we're starting at 0, and we're not starting at -50, right? Like you're much more confident in doing all things when the bases are covered, when the roof is over your head and you've got food on the table and gas in the car. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot easier to help other people when you're not trying to figure out how to cover the bases.
Yeah, that's why too I liked Rough 51 because even though it ended up turning into be a small card with all the fights that fell out, we were already in like a good zone where it's like the system was established and we even got to experiment with more stuff. That's why it made it especially exciting because you got to do the pre-fight interviews during the weigh-ins, pre-fight interviews during the fight event itself, a couple of post-fight, got to really engage more and it felt
And the
more.
experience, the
Mhm.
experience for everybody involved was exponentially greater. It was people were like, "Wow, this is really cool." Nobody was ever like, "Man, you only had 6 fights." Shit, It was like, "Wow, man, that was so much fun," because they got to.
Right?
It wasn't rush, rush, rush. We've done 19 fights. Like you look at anywhere in the country, nobody is putting on 19 fights on one card. Like, and then trying to put that into any amount of time that I would get up and walk away 3 times in that amount of time. Like, I got shit to do. I can't be here for 7.5 hours watching this show. Like, you know what I mean? Like you've got to rush through everything. So then everything's rushed because you're trying to fit 19 fights into a 3.5 hour slot, which is a
Yeah.
5.5 hour, 6+ hour ordeal. People are literally like falling asleep or like ready to go get food because it's such a long event.
Yeah.
By like making it more of an experience and less of the amount of people that are on the card. Our goal from here on out is no more than a 10 fight card. And we're getting more and more professionals and we're getting the backing to be able to put more and more professionals on the card and doing that stuff. So like ultimately like fighters are going the opportunity is going to slim up, but it's going to be the fighters that are ready to go, that
Mhm.
are planning to go, that are ready for a good fight camp and going to go. Then we're going to be scheduling them out versus trying to put 30 of them in a night. We've
Mhm.
got them booked for the next 3 months, and we're working at a continual thing. It's not just one huge event and then burning out everybody or people getting injured and then having one that's a half-ass one. I like
Mhm.
a 6 to 10 fight card with an added experience for the people that are in attendance, whether it's tequila flights or more free merch. People love getting all the free merch and having stuff
Yeah.
thrown at their heads from the cage, like that kind of stuff. We love to do that, and having that time and that flexibility to do that and express our gratitude even more to the sponsors and the people that helped us do all of this stuff. I feel like with too many fights on the card, you don't have the time to devote to the real necessities
Mhm.
that need to be addressed.
Yeah, because
It
then you're
becomes
just
about
rushing.
rushing and fitting it in a time frame, and then you get errors, and then the production has issues, and then the live stream has issues, and then everything has issues, and it becomes counterproductive.
Yeah.
And I think I started seeing this is like I would love to see an MMA show at the Celebrity Theater, RUF doing it every single month, a 8 to 10 fight card, and I predict in the near future that you very well may see a RUF show every single month, um, and it's
Let's
not
go.
going to
What's
be a
up?
burned out thing. I think it we're figuring out the ability to present the experience and make it something. And even we're looking at, we've already adjusted ticket prices and stuff like that because, yeah, you have to cover costs and that kind of thing. But if you outprice the guy that just got off work and is doing construction and would go spend an extra $40 or something with his buddy to go have a beer and watch a fight, like if you're not offering the experiences everybody that you can if you're outpricing your everyday, working Joe, as you used to call it or whatnot. Like if
Yeah.
you're outpricing the everyday fan, like we're just not there yet. And I think that's something that we had to remind ourselves of and come back to is like, hey, you know what? I'd rather have less money and more people than a little bit of money and not many people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'd
Exactly.
rather have 2,500 people in there and charge less for the tickets and have more people experience what we're doing than than the way that most things are looking right now with inflation and all this bullshit. Like, oh, let's raise the prices. Let's make it $150 ticket. Well, like, yeah, then nobody. I spend the $29 and watch it at home. You know.
Yeah.
So we're adjusting the prices. We're adjusting a lot of things. And again, it's a constant fluctuation, and is this working or is this not working, and what can we do to make it better? I think 2023 is going to be a huge year for the fight community in Arizona, hands down. The Arizona Boxing and MMA Commission has been amazing, and they continue to be a huge supporter of what we're doing. They've commented several times about setting the bar and raising the standard of what this is and what it has been throughout the history of Arizona boxing and MMA. There's young blood, there's great excitement and stuff coming from them and the meetings, and they're excited that all of these promotions are coming to the state of Arizona and that everybody's back to doing MMA and boxing and all that. What you're going to see is a definite separation between the ones that are doing it right and that have the right mentality and the right future and foresight for what's going to be coming of this sport and of gaming and of sports betting and all the things that are surround this crazy thing. And you're going to see the ones that don't do business the right way. You're going to see them weed themselves out, which is great for the sport as well. Because again, to see where this is going to be in 30 years is just, it's absolutely mind blowing and super exciting. And
gives you the goosebumps, gets you nice excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. I'm truly excited. And I know I'll wrap it up here in a second, but hands down, I'm truly excited for 2023. And is there a final message you want to give to the fans to really get them amped up for the next year?
2023 is going to be the year of the title. We're going to award more RUF titles than any year in RUF history. We're going to have more national world champions awarded in 2023, probably than we have in most every past year combined.
Nice.
We're going to see the cream of the crop. We're going to see who wants it bad enough, and we're going to see who puts in that work and who lives that life and who's all about that and does it all right. And they are going to be rewarded with a world championship title, both on an amateur and a professional level. Again, our goal being to see these title holders then go and take that and advance in their careers. And if they're an amateur title holder, what we are already seeing in our mind is that title holder is going to then go pro, and they're going to vacate that title for the next generation or the next the next duo of champions ready to step up and go for it. Well, once they do go professional, we still want them to be able to chase that gold and chase that title and be able to get that. And then if you are like Waldo, he's a RUF holder, he's a LFA title holder, and now he's on the biggest stage in the world for what he does as a heavyweight world champion on the chase. So that dude's going to add another big fat heavy belt to his collection. And again, it comes back to saying like, this is how you get, this is the goal. Let's reverse engineer it and let's follow the path on how to get there. Like, you want to be a world champion? Yeah, that's a great goal. And that's fantastic. Now, what do you got to do to get from here to there? I think 2023 RUF, you're going to see it is the year of the title.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. And you guys heard it right here, right now. They got it all jam-packed for you in 2023.
Absolutely. And just to drop one, we've already known this one's coming up. We've got Bridge City's own Trenton Byers, current 125-pound amateur title holder. He will be taking a biscuit. Brian Benavides is going to, this has already been settled. They wanted to take a little time off for the holidays or whatnot, and they both said it's on for February 25th. Contracts are out, and they should be back any minute, boys. And that is going to be one of the first title matches of the year. Two very well-deserving guys, two amazing athletes in the cage, two amazing dudes outside of the cage, who, again, the values that we share, the family and having the support and bringing their people out and all of that stuff. Like, either one that wins, these dudes are going to be deserving of it and celebrated for it. So we're excited to see that at RUF 52 in February. Brian Benavides challenges Trenton Byers for the 125-pound RUF Amateur World title. Damn, that's not
Yes, sir. And you're gonna have a big old Lake Havasu crowd. I could guarantee that right now.
Yes. No, I mean, and we're super excited. And we just get more strategic about when and where and how we do things to make sure that we're maximizing the exposure and that for everybody involved. You know, it's hard to learn the lessons when you don't have many people in the house. And again, it comes down to, you know, missed opportunities and things that we could have done better. But we're very good at failing. It's the RUF story, the RUF life, and we just get good at failing faster. And this year we're dialing it in, and we're laser focused and fucking ecstatic. I can't wait.
I know, man. I can't wait either. It's gonna be awesome. Oh, it's gonna be awesome. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you, CJ, for coming on. Truly appreciate it. I'm glad we finally got to get you on too.
Absolutely, man. Thank you again for being authentically you and for everything that you do. And we appreciate you, and we're excited to see where everything goes. And let's go. RUF Nation 2023. Catch us live at the Celebrity Theater. It's going to be an amazing year. If you haven't been to a show, come out and catch a show. We're going to make it even more affordable, even more exciting, even more fun. So we won't hold it against you that you hadn't been before, but you definitely need to come check us out in 2023.
Exactly.
It's going to be amazing, man. We are so grateful for all of you, for all the fighters, for you, Josh. I mean, everything you guys do, you have no idea the impact that this is going to have on the future of this sport for many, many, many people to come. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate it, man. It's a privilege to be a part of all of this. It's a privilege to be a part of everything, get to work with you guys, all these fighters. And hell yeah, we're going to make 2023 the biggest motherfucking year there is, hands down.
We did that a long time ago. It's just actually becoming its time. God bless, man. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome, man. Yeah, you have a good one, man.